I've been getting a number of calls lately about people needing to do custom loss and length limits. So let's go through and show how we set up a custom limit on the CertiFiber Pro. So here I've got a project I set up for the last video I did on setting up a custom limit for the OptiFiber Pro, the OTDR. If you haven't seen that one, good one to check out. Go ahead and take a look at that video after you get done watching this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to tap on the current test. I'm going to come down and tap on new test. And we see that because I have the CertiFiber Pro quad module in this versive, that module shows up. I'm going to do a smart remote test. And when it comes to bidirectional, we really need to look at what the contract says. If the contract requires bidirectional testing, be sure to do bidirectional testing. Now, in this case, I'm going to be doing this for single mode fiber. So I'm going to tap on fiber type and I'm going to go ahead and select OS2 single mode. We'll select that fiber. Now, when we come down here to test limit, it has defaulted to TIA 568.3-E single mode inside plant. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And because the customer has given me custom values, I'm going to create a custom limit. So I will tap on More, I will tap on Custom, I will tap on Manage, and Create. Now I'm going to give this a name. So I'm going to call this Video, okay? So we're going to call this Video and we're going to create a limit. For my length, I'm going to set my length limit right here. I could say, you know what, I don't care about the length. Let's do that. We're just going to clear that out. Length is not going to be a limit for this. Now, if you had a length limit, you could put that in. But in this case, I don't have a length limit for this. So I'm going to hit Done. Now, because the limit that we're using is a length-based limit, meaning that the CertiFiber Pro is going to look at the number of connections, number of splices, and the measured length of the fiber to calculate the limit, we need to put in a connection loss. So our connection loss right here is going to be the loss for each mated pair of connectors. Now in this case, the customer said that they will allow 0.5 dB of loss for each mated pair of connectors. Excellent. We see that our splice loss is set to 0.3. That happens to be the value that the customer is looking for. So we can set our splice loss right in there. Now, I'm going to slide down on the screen here, and I'm going to come down to my loss per kilometer at 1310 and my loss per kilometer at 1550. Now, in this case, the customer has specified a loss per kilometer of 0.4 dB. So I will hit Done, and a loss per kilometer at 1550 of 0.3 dB. Whoops. Let me clear that out first. I'll say 0.3 dB, then I'll hit Done. So now I have set the values. I've set my loss per kilometer at 1310, loss per kilometer at 1550. I've set my connection loss and my splice loss. So now I can hit Save. And notice that we've got an asterisk before and after the name of the custom limit. Anytime we see asterisk before or after, that lets us know that that is a custom limit. So I'm going to go ahead and select that limit. I will leave my reference method as one jumper. We prefer the one jumper method. Connector type. I can set my connector type to the type of connector I'm using. Now, this doesn't have any bearing on the outcome of the test. It is used for documentation purposes. Now, if you have dissimilar connectors on each end, don't worry. Choose one of them. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to select LC for today. Now, because I'm doing a length-based limit, it is critical that I enter in the number of connections and number of splices in this link. So in this case, we have two connections. This is just two fibers with connectors at each end. However, they are splicing on pigtails at each end. So that means I need to make sure that I account for the splice at each end where I'm splicing on that pigtail. So I'll go ahead and increase my number of splices to 2. So for each length, this will allow 0.5 dB for the connector at each end and 0.3 dB for the splice at each end. I'm doing a 1-jumper reference. I'll hit Done. And now I'm all ready to go. I can hit Save. So now I've created my smart remote test. Now, if I go back to the home screen, we see that our test is still set on Auto OTDR. So to switch over to the CertiFiber Pro test I just created, I'm going to go ahead and tap on that test. I'll tap on Smart Remote, and I'll say Use Selected. So this is how we go in and we create a custom loss and length test limit on the CertiFiber Pro. Be sure to check out the video on how to create a custom OTDR limit, as well as the other videos that we have on using the CertiFiber Pro, OptiFiber Pro, and the DSX cable analyzer. Be sure to subscribe, and if this video was helpful, please like it.